Hello, hello. Okay, I'm Nithya Karia. I'm your productivity and mindset coach. And today I want to talk about the specifics of what you want to put into a supportive routine. Yesterday, I kind of shared on the value of it and why a routine really serves you. So again, I think that having visuals really helps to connect us, right, to the why that gives us enough of a reason to commit to things. So, imagine, right, you get the idea of energy and a battery, right? We get that an energy, or a battery, if it isn't charged, is going to run out of energy, right? So the thing that you're putting the battery into, right, it's not going to work for as long. And at some point, it's also just not going to work as well sometimes, right? We've all had that where the battery, the device or the toy or whatever the battery is in, right? It kind of starts to act weird, and the performance isn't peak anymore. So I want you to use this idea, this concept, right? And even, something even more powerful, another visualization you can try is to picture like a piece of land. If you're into nature and you spend time in nature, this is wonderful, and you can probably picture a specific place. If it's not something that you're used to kind of incorporating in your life, you just think about something that looks really like in the wilderness. And understand that all of the life, all of the plant life, the animal life, everything that lives right in the soil, the ground, the trees, in the trees, right? And then all the animal life. So there's foliage, there's plants. All of this stuff is sort of life is teeming on this piece of earth. But if something were to happen to the most foundational layer, right? The soil, the very bottom of it, where everything is really drawing from, then everything starts to diminish. And it isn't something that happens overnight, right? But it's something that may happen over years. And I think this is actually maybe an even better analogy, because this visualization, right, it helps us understand our value. You are the soil, right? You are the foundation for the life that you've built. And whether you realize it or not, right? All the lives that you're touching, all of the pieces, all the hats you wear, they are dependent on how you show up. Okay, think about that for a second. How you show up is based on what you have to offer. And what we have to offer as, when we give from a place of overflow versus depletion is very different. It feels both different for the giver, for you, and also feels really different for the recipient. Okay, I can throw a meal on the table and, even if it's home cooked or whatever, right? And feed my family. Or I can show up in a different way, right? It can be about conversation. It can be about inclusion, talking about our day, experiencing each other really, right? Showing up present. And that would be a very different experience, even though it's the same act. Okay, because people can always tell, right, when you're giving from a place that is joyful. This whole idea, right, that I say that the reason achieving and feeling good needs to be linked, right? We need to get rid of this idea that deprivation is the way that we motivate ourselves. We're kind of scaring ourselves, right, when we do this, into believing that, I'm not working hard enough. I'm not going to produce a good enough result because I won't be enough if I'm not really hard on myself. Okay, so achieving and feeling good is not about lowering the bar. It's about this amazing thing that happens when you set the bar high and you live constructively, right? You're building yourself up so that you're not ignoring what's happening, but you're really seeing the value, and you're investing in all of the pieces that contribute to how you show up. So you actually will set the bar high, and what you'll find is when you live this way, when you live constructively, you will be able to actually set the bar even higher. And it's wild because as achievers, and if you're used to really functioning in this deprivation achievement model, it doesn't seem possible. So I'm going to just ask you to trust me on this, okay? Because I've experienced this and consistently. This is not something that, happened once, right? I'm telling you that the way that I have been able to expand my life and show up in a more powerful, bigger, everything is just more expansive, and it feels better. So everybody in my life enjoys it as well and reaps the benefits of it. But let's get back to today's idea was really on how to create a supportive routine. And this is something that I dive really deep into. If you want more details and implementation ideas and the opportunity for us to connect, you want to sign up and join my incubator, Hero Inc. It's a membership, and it's really all around this idea, like, what do we need? What's the strategy, right? It's a strategy, support, and accountability. You need to actually have the speed, right, to create this in your life, because information isn't the problem, okay? And so let me start there, that when you're creating a routine, the reason you're not doing something or not putting the routine in isn't because of a lack of information, right? It's probably that you have too much information, right? There are a million ways that people tell you that you can, what you should be doing, right? Every day, I feel like there's a new study that comes out that says, this is good for you, this is good for you, this is good for you. And a lot of the data also looks contradictory, right? Eat this, no, don't eat this, do this, right? So there's a lot of complication when you kind of dive into it and get into the weeds. But the way you're actually going to be able to initially create this kind of success for yourself and support, you don't already have something in place, you don't want to go to like the highest level. You want to start at a place where you can really kind of get your foot in the door. So when you get your foot in the door, right, and start to be able to create this for yourself, you're going to start to be able to kind of, as I say, kind of like elbow out more and more space and have the capacity to really dive into some of the more nuances of it. But start basic, okay? So number one, we know why this is important, right? Because we want to be that rich soil that is able to keep giving quality and quantity. Can I just also say really quickly, right? Recognize days that you feel good and how this just naturally creates so much ease in your day. Nothing changed, right? You're still living your life with your family and your kids and your work and all of this stuff, right? Your business challenges. But I can guarantee you, right, that when you stop and really notice it and get aware, that you're just showing up with so much more ease. Things feel easier. There's less fear and there's less friction. So this also goes into this component of why do we want to invest our time and our energy in doing this process of creating a routine for ourselves. So number two, right, we said don't start with the highest level, like these nuances. I had a client, and she was amazing. And she was so invested in her personal development and her growth. But one of her big goals was around being able to eat healthier. She had this tendency to buy a lot of really healthy food, put it in her fridge, but then be so overwhelmed at this idea of where do I even start? And just she would kind of run through all this information that she was reading about and absorbing. And it was actually blocking her from her goal, right? She came up once and she said, I read that if you chop broccoli, garlic, and do it, chop it 30 minutes before you use it, it's more, the nutrition is more bioavailable. And that 100% can be true, but is that the detail, right, that moves you forward or that holds you back? And this is what I mean when I say just start with the most basic, all right? Eating whole foods. It's as simple as that, right? Organic whole foods when possible. Primarily vegetables, right? Whatever it is, you're going to sense with your body what feels right. There are, some basic guidelines around this, but so number one, right? Just don't get stuck in the weeds. Every time you notice kind of nuance or, hyper detail, right? Realize that you're drilling way down, and that's not where you need to be. Let's just start at keep it simple. Okay. So what I want to develop with you guys is in this routine are four things that you want to create in your routine. And I call them your gems, your daily gems. Ideally, okay, you want to reach for these daily. Like I said, if you're putting your foot in the door, I don't know where you are in your life and what's going on, but anytime you can incorporate these, you want to do it as often as you possibly can. And the two things you're going to be creating really while doing this is momentum and trust. Trust in that you can actually take the time, right? The world isn't going to fall apart if you spend, let's say, 15 minutes a day implementing these gems, these four things, G, E, M, and S. I'm going to run through those in a second. What that's going to do for you, okay? So they're going to offer you trust that if I take 15 minutes, right? And so the next day you might be able to work up, or next week, or, when you start to feel more expansive and feel that momentum, you can shoot for 20 minutes or 30 minutes until you find this kind of sweet spot that you're actually feeling refueled. So GEMS, G is growth, right? We all really feel good when we bring something new into our life. Maybe it's trying something new. It could be just trying a recipe. It could be reading something. It could be exploring a new place, right? Travel, or listening to new music, whatever it is, right? Something that inspires us to kind of be outside of our usual space, right? That feels like we're exploring, we're growing into something. The E is for enjoyment, joy. You really want to find something that feeds your soul daily. Again, these don't have to be huge things, but joy, okay? If you don't know what that is, and this is a wonderful opportunity. This whole process can take you 10, 15 minutes to write down these gems and then figure out how to implement them. So the M is around movement. Movement is powerful, guys. I didn't used to have this as a necessary piece of the schedule, but as I've been working with more and more people, and even just realizing this in my own life, right, that there's so much value in moving, and it helps us move stress and things through our bodies and out of our systems. And it also it really adds to this higher energy level, and which adds to our momentum. And the S is around sleep. You want to create, even if sleep feels a little unpredictable for your schedule, you want to try to shoot to have some routines around this to offer yourself some consistency. Because if you're not resting, right, this is just basic human needs that the body performs different functions in the rest period than it's doing in the wake state. So you want to offer this to yourself, because when you wake up, right, don't you want to wake up and really be able to bounce out of bed? And as maybe you don't think you're a morning person, or you don't think that's possible, but I'm going to tell you, you start to feel these shifts, and it's pretty powerful how you can wake up and at least not feel heavy. All right, there's a lightness to just the way you start your day, and the way, it makes such a difference, right? The mental state that we're in when we first show up in the morning for ourselves, right? Before anybody else gets a piece of us, just what we offer to ourselves at this point is really powerful. So this is the quick rundown. And again, I go through all of these. This is just, one tiny piece of the clarity that we offer ourselves, and how we start to take control of our lives instead of letting our lives take control of us. So join me inside Hero Inc. in this membership, and get more of this, more of the details, more of the accountability, right? I can't help you if I'm not working with you. So I need you to be in my space so I can be there to help you and support you in what you want to create. So I hope you take this, start to implement it how you can, these gems, and let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback. How is this going for you? They're 4 really simple things. And again, you want to try to hit them daily. And if that feels too much, start where you can. If it's once a week, if it's twice a week, right? And then just kind of start to expand that space, whatever time you've given yourself to do these 4 things. Just start small, because it takes a lot less than you think it does to feel re-energized. So offer yourself these crumbs, and then start to make these spaces bigger and bigger and bigger, so that you really get the restorative benefits that help propel you.